right, so I guess the man who needs no introduction, since James also referred to Trung Lam. Yay, Trung Lam! He's our new director of HTDC, the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, and we are so thrilled to have him in the leadership position. I just have to say one little tidbit about Trung that has impressed me so much, among many things that have impressed me about him. But I will say I've been working with this state agency for probably 20 years, and nobody until Trung asked for my opinion about how we should be doing things. So I'm really thankful for that. I was like, wow, you actually want to know what we think, the community? Amazing. That's crazy. Nobody's ever done that. So anyway, please welcome to the stage, Trung Lam.
Mahalo for the introduction, Shanoa, and thank you, Director, for the honor of representing DBED at HTDC here at this wonderful event. Good morning, everyone. I'm Trung Lam, as Shanoa said, Executive Director of HTDC, and I am tasked with building our tech economy here and growing Hawaii's tech hub. And I'll start by saying, every city in the world wants to be a tech hub. You're talking about great paying jobs, fast-growing economies, exportable IP, right? So who does not want that as a city? So if you are competing against hundreds of other cities around the country and around the world to be a tech hub, what is your value proposition? And the world is rapidly changing. Right now it's AI, who knows what it's gonna be 5 years from now. And we as humans, I don't know about you, at least for me, I'm very bad at predicting the future. We tend to get it wrong when we try to guess how things are going to change. But a smart person told me, and this is something they do at Amazon, is instead of focusing on what's going to change, focus on what never is going to change. And here in Hawaii, as you can see by this map, just in case you don't know, I circled the Hawaiian Islands here. We are always going to be in the middle of the Pacific surrounded by ocean. That is not going to change. So, if we look at it that way, what can we prioritize as a tech hub to really invest in for decades and decades so that the benefits are durable and they compound? And we brought together, a lot of amazing ecosystem partners over the last 10 months since I've been on this job, 80 plus organization, hundreds of folks who came together to create a shared vision and a shared goal. And what we're really trying to do is very simply, is create global impact while ensuring local prosperity. With that in mind, we came up with kind of 4 sectors we thought made sense to be developing here in Hawaii. So you have health, ocean, space, and energy. And today, we're going to be focusing on 2 of those. You'll probably hear a lot about the space sector a little bit later in another talk, but I want to prioritize in our talk the ocean sector. And not only does this make sense being in the middle of the ocean, but it also aligns so much with who we are as a people and culture. Right, the Hawaiian people here were first and foremost voyagers and navigators, right? They came here on their canoes, navigating using the stars. And it's important to understand that at a place like Hawaii, we have to lead with our values first, because that's how we have meaningful change that will be accepted by our community here. So when I say ocean, what does that mean? There's actually a lot of opportunities here. You can call it ocean tech, you can call it blue economy. We don't have to go through every single thing on there, it's a ChatGPT image. But the idea is there's a lot of opportunities here that we can take advantage of. And obviously I am not the expert, but I would love to go in depth with someone who is the expert. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Helena Janulis, Director of Strategy and Operations from Investable Oceans, to join me. I think we're going to have to hold them. Oh my God, right? Oh, yes. We're going to do a little fireside chat. This is the Jesus line. All right. I feel a little far away. Okay, we're just gonna start really simple. Helena, let's start at the beginning. When we think about ocean, we think about the blue economy. It might mean different things to different people. So maybe let's start with a simple definition. What does the blue economy mean?
So the way that I like to think about the blue economy is to actually start by thinking about the ocean economy. And so if you think about all the activities that happen in the oceans all around the world, that's everything from transportation, that's food, that's energy, materials. Those things collectively make up the ocean economy. And this is a very, very large economy. It's 24 trillion in total asset value, approaching 3 trillion in annual economic output by 2030. And to put that in perspective, if the ocean were a country, it would be the 7th largest economy in the world. So big markets, big opportunities. The way that you get to the blue economy is when you layer elements and principles of sustainability and stewardship. So you're still using the ocean for resources for economic growth, but you're doing it in a way that's mindful and doesn't harm the ocean. You can then take it even a step further and layer on principles of regeneration and justice and equity. And that kind of brings you to the most commonly used definition from the World Bank, which is the sustainable use of ocean resources for improved economies, livelihoods, and job creation while preserving ecosystem health. And something that I like to point out about the blue economy is it's not something that you just arrive at. It's a journey, it's a transition. And this is a concept that we're used to because we see this happening on land with solar panels and electric vehicles. So it's really about continuously doing the best you can to accelerate those sustainable transitions, but also being realistic that it is going to take time and it's going to take resources and the right group of stakeholders that are really committed to pushing this forward. And to give you maybe just a few examples, when we say blue economy, I think that slide was helpful to kind of illustrate the different sectors there, but think about companies that are replacing plastics with seaweed, or working on maritime decarbonization, or growing whole-cut fish fillets in labs using cellular biology. So really a broad and diverse array of solution types.
Thank you very much. I know you've been working in this space for quite a few years, so I'm really curious, what have you seen that's changed, over the time, and maybe some recent changes as it relates to maybe the ecosystem and the capital markets? Let's start there.
Yeah. So the blue economy is a relatively new term, like under 20 years, and I would say within the last 8 to 10, we've seen this amazing explosion and growth and mainstreaming of the space. And so on the capital market side, I think we're entering what some folks call this sort of blue economy 2.0, and that's characterized by a few different things. So in 2017, there were 2 or 3 blue economy funds. Today, there are over 50 that have meaningful engagement in the ocean space. So not all of them are 100% blue, they're kind of more teals, where they're like a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. And that's meaningful. We're also starting to see second funds, which are larger and can support growth equity, which is really important for the blue economy space. We're starting to see exits as well, including the blue economy's first unicorn exit, Caresis, which is a company that makes deep wound bandages from cod skin. So really, really innovative technologies and really positive signals in the market. And the last piece I would add is that there's definitely this broadening and deepening of the participation of the capital markets in general. And that's everything from public equities to bonds to private equities. So there's definitely this influx of capital. There's a lot of players coming together, but we still do have funding gaps like many other industries, especially in that growth capital, that 4 to 5 million up to 10 million rounds. Those are things people are working to address. And the other thing I would say that we're seeing out there is that not all of these blue economy companies hit that kind of traditional VC curve. Some of them require more patient capital, longer development timelines, et cetera. And so I think it's really important to sort of reframe what success can look like. Not every company is going to be a unicorn, and that's okay. You can have an amazing business that's, $20, $50 million that has amazing impact. And I think especially for Hawaii, where you want to keep things local with the potential to scale, that reframe is going to help unlock some of that additional capital. On the sort of entrepreneur ecosystem side, let's see if I can go a slide back. There's this amazing support system that's being developed across the globe to support these entrepreneurs that are developing technologies and solutions. And so one example is 1,000 Ocean Startups. This is an initiative in the Lighthouse underneath the World Economic Forum, and it's 60 different members, some of which you can see on the screen here, whose shared mission is to support 1,000 startups by 2030. We actually just celebrated our 5-year anniversary a few weeks ago at Change Now and crossed already 800 startups. So well on our way to supporting those. And the way that I like to kind of bucket these different groups together to kind of give you a visualization of what they are. It's the funds, it's the accelerators and incubators, it's the platforms, competitions, etc. And all these different groups are working together in such a collaborative and mature way that this ecosystem is really, really ripe for folks who have solutions and are ready to build businesses. And a lot of the businesses and blue economy companies here in Hawaii are already being supported by 1,000 Ocean Startups.
Great. There's the second half to this question, and this second half is very important to me. When I started, there's a lot that we can do as a state, and how do you decide what to prioritize? And I was like, hammered into my team is like, where's the demand? Where's the market demand? We're currently in the middle of our state legislative session, and it's my first year doing this, so it's very front and center in my mind of like, policy is so important in order to move a lot of this along. So maybe could you talk a bit about those two areas? So where's the market demand going, and what's changing in policy to help encourage more development in the blue economy?
Yeah, definitely. So the market demand is definitely there, and I think it comes from a few different angles. So on the consumer side, there's this increased awareness, and a lot of that comes from the news, comes from things like Netflix's recent documentary, The Plastic Detox, if folks have seen that. There's this increased awareness that we need sustainable solutions. Also, I would add on the corporate side, they play a really, really big role in bringing these technologies to market and helping to accelerate solutions. They all have sustainability goals and initiatives that they need to hit, and they need solutions and technologies to reach those. And so a lot of them have CBCs and are actively scouting these technologies, bringing them in-house and helping them to scale. And then more generally in the market, people like just being more efficient and streamlined. And so that's a big thing with the blue economy, is how do we do things more efficiently? How can we leverage AI, machine learning, all these innovative tools and technologies that are coming out to make work easier? On the policy side, I would say it's a mixed bag. It's a little bit tricky, and there are certainly headwinds. We have some wins, like the BBNJ, or the High Seas Treaty, being enacted. And then we have other things like the Plastics Treaty, kind of slowing down a bit. So, there's some governments that are being a little more restrictive, and then there are some that are still having programs, especially over in Europe, extended producer responsibility, things like that are really pushing and enabling these environments for these solutions to be brought to the market and to really make it to the consumer ultimately. So while there are headwinds, I think there are still policy levers that can be pulled both on a global and a local level. And while we're kind of waiting for the policy to get there, we're really working on developing these innovative financial tools and mechanisms in the meantime. Policy is an important part, a big part of the enabling conditions, but I think we can work a lot on finance and bringing those pieces together when the conditions are a bit better. And then sort of on the questions of like sectors and scaling, we're really starting to see these technologies out in the market, and we're starting to see where they're adding a lot of value. So technologies that are addressing truly critical pain points, are really delivering unique value, and that are addressing large TAMs, or total addressable markets. And in the ocean space specifically, we're seeing that in sustainable food systems, we're seeing that in maritime decarbonization, and we're seeing that in data and autonomy.
Great. I like how you started talking about local policy. Let's bring it down to the local level. On the policy side, we do have a very promising bill creating an Office of Marine Affairs and putting it under HCDC so that we can create a task force, have a shared vision, and do this work together with our fellow agencies here at the state. Yes! And a lot of the folks in this room helped support with testimony, and it was amazing hearing the feedback from the legislators of how excited they were, how important it was. And the blue economy, it might sound new, but in Hawaii, it represents $10 billion of our economy already. And that is without us saying like this is a priority. Imagine how much we could grow it if we prioritize this sector. But yes, if you could help, tell me a bit more about your history. I know you have connections to Hawaii, as well as where do you see Hawaii playing a role in this blue economy?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there are a few particular places where Hawaii can truly be a leader. And the good news is that a lot of the tech that we're seeing that is scalable globally is actually a really strong fit for Hawaii. So I attended UH Hilo for my undergrad. I studied marine science and also agriculture. And when I was there, I worked at PACRAC, which is our Pacific Aquaculture and Coastal Resources Center. And I was working with my professor on sustainable feed for aquaculture. So we were substituting fish meal for spirulina, which is a type of algae. I also got to visit Nelha. I worked on the campus farm on aquaponics systems, which combine aquaculture and hydroponics. And what struck me then, and what still strikes me now, is that the infrastructure and the natural assets of Hawaii are truly unique and a home court advantage. You can't replicate Nelha somewhere else, right? Like the access to the deep waters, the temperature differential, the Pacific location. Those are durable natural advantages that Hawaii has that others don't. On top of this, you already have a bunch of institutions. You have the university systems, you have HIMB. They're already working on this and collaborating, and so there's already this sort of mindset of a sort of coalition and a critical mass for research capacity and talent. And to me, that's what's really exciting, is that you guys have all of these building blocks, and it's really just about this coordinated effort of bringing them all together. And the cool thing about blue foods and aquaculture in particular, let's say, for example, you can build a technology at Nelha, you can go test it out in the waters, and then you can export it and have global impact. So you don't need to leave the islands to have that impact. You can do that all right here. And I think that's a very powerful message for founders, for local talent, and for investors alike. I would say, you want 2 areas?
Sure, let's do a second one.
Okay, the other one I would say is ocean intelligence, and that's, think sensors, robots, underwater autonomous vehicles, all those good things. I think that if you think about the ocean, when you compare it to sort of terrestrial and atmospheric ecosystems, we have 7 times as much information on those as we do the ocean. So the ocean is very largely explored. And to be able to protect the ocean and to utilize the resources from the ocean, you really have to know how it works. You have to understand it really completely, scientifically, etc. That means better everything. Better sensors, cheaper ways of collecting data, ways to actually take that data, digest it, make it usable for end users. And Hawaii's environment is a very natural testing ground and staging point for developing these different technologies that really get beat up and have to operate in these difficult, tough, dark environments. And what I really like about this specifically is this is really where space and oceans come together. If you think about data collection, coastal resilience, blue carbon mapping, they're all using satellites and GPS systems. And they're using that in a way to connect it to the ocean. And I think Hawaii is really uniquely positioned to sort of be at that convergence between ocean and space and the development of those technologies.
Great. I want to use this opportunity to highlight a local company. You talked about ocean data and ocean sensing, but Hohonu is a local company that was spun out of the University of Hawaii. And Director Tokyo mentioned this in his talk. We're dealing with the Kona low right now, and a few weeks ago we had the same that had a tremendous flooding all over our state. But Hohonu created this local sensor here that does water level monitoring. It will track the levels. It will text or email you when it senses something's going on. And this is great. We're trying to get this technology across the state, across the country, and working with them to try and get a Department of Transportation deal to put 100 of these units across their state. So a lot of exciting stuff happening here in Hawaii, and I just wanted to highlight one of our local startups here. They could be our 3rd fireside. Yeah, round of applause for Helena, please. Yeah, I think we only have like about 30 seconds left, so quick call to action. I love the idea of one big thing. Like, what can people do if they want to get involved?
So I think what's really exciting about the blue economy and the ocean space in general is that it brings together so many different interests and skill sets. So it doesn't really matter what you do and what your interests are. There's a way to kind of bring that into this work. You can be in engineering, you can be in marketing, you can be working on AI and artificial machine learning, intelligence, all that kind of stuff. It's really about just figuring out what role you can play in sort of building out this ocean hui or this ocean cluster that we're looking to build here in Hawaii. And I think this strategy that's really, really grounded in Hawaii's culture and the local values and the aloha aina, that's what's going to really make this thrive and be successful, because you need that buy-in and you need everyone to kind of rally around that. And that's why I think that the oceans and space strategic priorities are so well suited for this area. And I would definitely encourage you to speak with Trung, speak with folks who are involved in this, because there's a way to be involved, and we want you to be involved in building this so that there's that shared ownership.
Thank you very much. And myself and my team will be outside to answer any questions and help you folks along on this blue economy journey. Let's give Helena a round of applause, please. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Here, leave those on the chair, actually. I think we'll use them again and again. Okay. Oh, James left his giant highlighter. Is it mine now? I'm gonna, wow. And Chung, we'll keep the giant highlighter. All right, how's everybody doing? Yeah, all right, very good. So I'm really excited for the next talk, because we're bringing together two, I'll just put it this way, characters, in my opinion. Characters. This is not going to be a boring one. Henk Rogers, I think, needs no introduction in this community, but just for those of you who are not from here, Henk is a Dutch-born game developer and entrepreneur, and he has made Hawaii his home for the last several decades, I believe. And he, most famously, you may know him from the game Tetris. He brought Tetris to the world, but he's also a co-founder of Blue Startups and currently running the Blue Planet Alliance, which is on a mission to get us all on 100% renewable energy around the world. And Alex Fielding, come on up, Henk. And then Alex Fielding is the CEO and co-founder of Privateer. What I know about Alex is he's also a huge Tetris fanboy, so this is exciting that we're getting these two together. And Alex is a Privateer, if you're not familiar with it, is based on Maui, and it is this giant data play looking at everything from space debris all the way down to what's at the bottom of the ocean. It's really an incredible tool. You should check it out. They're building this amazing world-class company right here on Maui. Come on up, guys. All right, and I'm going to be joining them. They need a microphone to do that. Anyone? Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you. Let me grab my notes here, and we'll get started.
Are you joining us?
Yeah, we're joining you.
Oh.
We're joining you. As Henk said, I'm moderating, but not really. I'm just here to make sure they don't get into trouble. Because really, I want it to be a conversation between Alex and Henk, because I just think it would be so fun to have you both just
we need a
chatting.
chaperone. We definitely
You need I know you do. I know you do. For sure. Okay, so first question. You guys are both, I forgot to mention that Henk also is very involved in the space industry and has been for quite a while. His resume is just so long, and you're in so many things, it's hard to mention it all in one introduction. But Henk has been involved in various things around space. So, Henk, you've talked about in our conversations connecting space exploration to the Polynesian voyaging traditions. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so Okay, if you drilled a hole down through the earth and went to the other side of the planet, you would end up somewhere near Namibia. And arguably somewhere around Namibia is where the origin of human beings, that's where we all came from. And when you think about the world, we started in Africa, worked our way through Europe, Asia, America, and we were left at the top of the world with this huge ocean. In the middle of the ocean is Hawaii. It's the most difficult place to get to. And we got here, when we say we, I'm talking about the Polynesian voyagers. They got here using canoes and celestial navigation over thousands of miles of open ocean. It was the most difficult voyage of all time, the greatest exploration of all time. So what's happened since then is people, now we have East meets West, we have all these people that have come to Hawaii from all sides of the Pacific. And first of all, we're the gathering place. But here's the thing, where do we go from here? Because we've explored every place on this planet, and obviously the people that have ended up in Hawaii are the ultimate bearers of the explorer gene. Each time you have a civilization somewhere, it's time to move on, it's time to move on. We're the ultimate time to move on people. And so, where do we go from here? And the answer is there.
Alex, any thoughts about that from a Hawaii perspective?
I mean, Namibia is pretty hard to get to also, but no, I'm glad there's direct flights. Yeah, I think, you know, at Privateer, we actually have some software that you can access called Wayfinder, which is a nod to the sacred, not only wayfinding tradition, but also, you know, the Polynesians and the Hawaiians and the way that they navigated the earth. Wayfinder today shows not only the position of all the satellites in space and what they could do for us and their capabilities that benefit us on planet Earth, but it also goes all the way from space to subsea in a single platform. And I think, you know, we were never intending, and I hope we didn't kind of appropriate Hawaiian culture. We were really just saying, thank you. Boy, what an amazing capability was built here, originated here, and has continued to evolve here. And it's a pretty special place to do business. It's a great place to be. So.
That's awesome. Alex, tell us a little bit more about Privateer. I know you're tracking something like, was it 30,000 objects, or it's probably more now, but you gave us a live demo when we were talking, and I was like, wow, I immediately got on the phone with my son, who's studying GIS and underground, went, check this out. This is really amazing data on next level. Tell us a little bit more about what you're tracking in space, and should we be concerned about all this space debris? Henk and I were just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of terrifying, right? I mean, we're tracking over 40,000 things now, but if you look at low Earth orbit, Elon and SpaceX, and they're one of our customers, Starlink makes up 2/3 of the low Earth orbit economy today. 10,000 of those satellites in LEO are Starlink. And they've already benefited us in Hawaii, right? They've already helped us out in the Maui wildfires. I mean, we could not have survived without Starlink. There's a lot of remote places here that are being kind of brought into the forefront because of Starlink. And the space debris issue is a really big issue. I mean, we track things in space in an environment where most of the things that we worry about are in low Earth orbit. They're doing 7.7 kilometers a second. So you're talking 17,500-ish miles an hour over the surface of the Earth. And we don't have requirements that we have for things that we have here for safety. We don't have a requirement that your satellite must have an autopilot, or that it must have collision avoidance, or that it must have a transponder at the very least. So we have all these things floating around at very, very high speed relative to us, and we don't have the most basic things that we have on airplanes and helicopters for safety services. We also have a ton of challenges with debris, because what we can see, sense, and detect from planet Earth, and we kind of do the same thing that they do when they're looking at planes, right? We fire phase array radar up at the heavens, plus or minus 40, and you're tracking debris and objects that are as small as 10 centimeters, so the size of a softball. Well, put that in perspective. I mean, when was the last time air traffic control called a pilot and said, hey, 7-4 heavy, there's a pigeon off your left wing, right? I mean, that's the type of size of object, but they're moving 17,000 plus miles an hour. So these are all really big concerns, and there's also huge concerns because of the millions of things we can't see, sense, or detect. So we can see, sense, and detect things pretty reliably that are 10 centimeters or bigger. What about the stuff that's 1 or 2 centimeters or millimeters? There's millions of those things in space. They're all human-made. We put them all up. We can't see them reliably. And to put this in perspective, with the Artemis team up there now and the International Space Station, the Whipple shield, the thing that protects the crew of the space station, it's basically like a sheet of Kevlar glued to a tin can with a gap, and then a sheet of Kevlar with some glue and another tin can. And if you pierce the hull of the ISS, I mean, very, very, very bad things happen very fast. So the Whipple shield is designed to take that debris and slow it down, and also in some cases reduce the mass, right? So kind of spread it. But put that in perspective, it doesn't take 10 centimeters, what we can see, sense, and detect, to end the mission for the ISS. It takes like 2 centimeters. So we have a boogeyman that's flying out there constantly, and if it hits that Whipple shield and survives, it's life-ending, it's mission-ending, and it's terrifying, but it's real.
Wow. Well, Hank, any response to that? I mean, we were talking about space debris, and we were talking about how big space is.
Yeah, so when we're talking about space here, we're talking about low Earth orbit, but actually, I'm much more concerned about the moon and Mars and other planets that we go to. And I sailed with Hokulea. When we go to a new island that we haven't been to before, we basically stand in the water and humbly ask the native people for permission to come on their land. And we promise that we're not going to destroy anything. The problem is that when we went to low Earth orbit, there was nobody there to ask for permission, and we didn't go there with any kind of respect. We just said, oh, well, if there's garbage, we can just throw out the garbage. But we're just now on the verge of doing things on the moon. And on the moon, on Earth we say leave only footprints, but on the moon, footprints are forever. The astronaut footprints 50 years ago, they're still there. And so if we go to the moon and say, let everybody do what they want, there's going to be tire tracks everywhere. We're basically going to destroy the place. And we're going to talk about mining, and we're going to talk about whatever it is that we do without thinking about what's the future going to be like. So I'd like us to think a little bit more about going to other places with respect, the respect that the ancient Hawaiians and the Polynesians paid when they came to these islands in the first place, and not trash the place. This is not this daughter, but my other's daughter, concerned. She says, Pops, why do you want to go to the moon? We're doing such a piss poor job of taking care of this planet. What makes you think that we're going to do any better on that planet? And she's absolutely right. So we have to think about this before we go, so we don't have a low Earth orbit garbage problem.
While we're talking about that, Hank, can you tell us more about your kind of moon base alliance and the work that you're doing there?
So I had a near-death experience 20 some odd years ago. Mission number 3 at the end of that was make a backup of life by going to other planets. So I was interested. One day a researcher came. We're going to do a thing with NASA. This is University of Hawaii and NASA. We're going to study living on Mars. And they ran into a problem. Like Houston, we have a problem. They've been negotiating for like years, and they were finally ready to go, and then they realized that neither NASA nor University of Hawaii could own a habitat. So I said, she came to me and asked me, could you please own a habitat, and then we'll rent it from you? And I said, well, if I'm going to own a habitat, it isn't going to be a piece of... And so we took over.
We don't care, right?
We took over.
There's no kids out here.
We basically, throughout the design, there was a bunch of engineers who've never built a bathroom or a kitchen, and they're 4 months away from the first crew showing up. So we redesigned it, built something. It's called High Seas, the Hawaii Space Exploration Analog and Simulation. We did 5 years of missions with NASA. It's 1,200 square feet, 6 people stay inside for a long time. If they go outside during the mission, they have to wear a spacesuit. And if they communicate with the outside world, we delay that signal 20 minutes each way. Mars is at closest 4 minutes, but at farthest 26 minutes away. So we did five missions, 4 months, 4 months, 8 months, 12 months, and 8 months. Can you imagine? And it's up on 8,200 feet on Mauna Loa. When you look out the window, if you look real hard, you can see the highway in the distance, but everything else is a field of lava. And this is part of why Hawaii is the perfect place. The material of the volcanoes of Hawaii, of all of Hawaii, is 97% the same as the material of the Moon and Mars. And the reason for that is that we have plate tectonics, so all the continents are sort of the foam left over after millions or billions of years of plate tectonics. The Moon and Mars do not have plate tectonics. And so it's all oceanic crust. That's basalt. That is the big island of Hawaii. So we have lava tubes, we have the right materials. So if we're going to practice living on the Moon or Mars, Hawaii is the perfect place to do so.
Awesome. I think they played a lot of Tetris in there, right? The 12 months, 6 months. Were they playing Tetris?
Actually, the secret to keep people from going crazy is not to have them waste time.
Oh. So no Tetris.
So sorry about that. so each individual crew member had a mission that kept them busy, and then the entire crew had another mission. So you're basically exhausted. I mean, they probably played on the weekends.
They snuck it in a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Oh, but they played Tetris on the ISS.
There
So
you go.
that was the first game that went up.
Game in space.
Yeah, the game in space.
Alex, I know you're both involved in these
I know where
kind
you're
of
going
space.
with this. I know where you're going, and I
Yeah.
have my Tetris cartridge
Oh,
right
oh
here.
my goodness!
I don't go anywhere without this. If they send me to the ISS, my crew.
You're ready to go.
I don't go anywhere without him.
He's gonna have you sign that thing later, I think.
I'm gonna
He's
try.
like, can you sign
Wait,
my?
isn't one of
my
your
cartridge?"
founders Steve Wozniak?
Yeah, Steve and I, see, Henk actually almost got me fired, which he doesn't know this. But Woz and I used to go to concerts all the time, and we would play heads-up Tetris with our Game Boys during the concert, and we would do this like 20 concerts a year. Well, one night, while I'm working for a public company, my phone rings, and it's Woz, and he goes, "Do you remember when you promised me that if we could play Tetris on the side of a building, you would be there?" And I was like, "No, I don't remember that at all." And he goes, "Well, you did. And if you don't come with me tomorrow morning to play Tetris on the side of the Brown University Library building in Rhode
I was
Island."
there.
You were there?
I was there.
So Steve says, "You have to come or you're not a man of your word."
Oh.
That was it. And I said, "Oh my God, I can't. Like, I have like a real
lot of
job."
pressure. Yeah.
So I call my boss at midnight, because Steve called me at around midnight, and I said, "I'm really sorry. I've got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They're using the side of the Brown University Library building as a Tetris display. I've got to go." But I kind of abbreviated my voicemail to just say, "I've got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm going to be gone for a couple days. Don't worry." So I go there. I don't notice the whole media thing because I'm oblivious to that. And so we're playing Tetris across the street with a live Russian band playing behind us. And the only time I beat Woz at Tetris reliably was because there's a
You
delay.
actually beat him.
That one time on the
You
side of the
actually-
Tetris,
actually-
on the side of the Brown University
I'm
Library
going to ask
building.
him. I'm going to ask him.
We're gonna fact check that.
No,
Fact
it's
check.
a true
but
story.
This
It's a true
is a
story.
big deal because how many of you played Tetris, first of all?
What? I guess that's
All
not
right.
this.
It's
Yeah.
100% out of.
So there's a device called the NES machine. How many of you played Tetris on NES? Okay. So there's a magazine called Nintendo Power, and basically you had to take a picture of your high score each year, and they would post, who is the highest score, and was the #1 player in the world 10 years in a row. They had to retire the category. So this guy was seriously good.
Wow.
So I don't know about.
Well, thankfully,
I don't know,
Tetris.
I don't know.
Tetris.
Did you drug him or something?
No, it turns
the
out
side of the
it's
building?
it's very, very hard when you have concrete between the pixels coming down the building. And Steve's brain works too fast, so the problem is he's too good. But luckily, Tetris does allow for a handicap on a regular basis. So, we're not playing at equal footing, okay? Steve is on his own level.
Truth comes out.
When I flew back to California, my boss, she was the CEO of this publicly traded company, and her admin left me a message saying she wants to meet with you. So I go to her office, and, hey, what's up? She goes, so, once in a lifetime, huh? Emergency? I said, I didn't say emergency. I said, once in a lifetime. And she pulls out of her drawer a picture of the New York Times with me and Steve playing Tetris on the side of this building. And it was like, oh shit. So, excuse my language. So that was an unusual day. But we've had a lot of Tetris moments. And now one of our newer investors is Palmer Luckey, who has done this chromatic, right? This new version of the Game Boy.
Okay.
So I've started playing both versions. I like them both a lot, but Palmer is also addicted. So if you want the new version of the Game Boy, just I guess I'm a shameless plug for something.
I carry that thing with me.
I love it.
I carry it with me.
So you heard it here first. I think it's going to be Tetris in space.
Tetris
That's
heads
what's
up.
coming next.
Hank and I going heads up Tetris on stage.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna
I
have
can
On the moon.
lose pathetically.
On the moon. How about that?
This will
That
be great.
sounds
Sorry.
So bringing it back to space,
Sorry, yes.
we've gone on the Tetris. This is why I'm here, because this is going to happen. So you are building Privateer in Hawaii. Why Hawaii? Why is Hawaii a good place for this industry? How can we continue to build the industry here? What do we need to do to make that happen?
I think that this connection between land and the sea and our air and space, our near-Earth space and environment, they're all completely linked, right? You cannot remove one domain from the other domains. And Privateer, we're fundamentally a geospatial intelligence or autonomy company. We use data coming from subsea all the way to space to help things fly themselves and float themselves and drive themselves. And we do that for a lot of things that are not cars, right? We do it for kind of boats, satellites. And I think the story about Hawaii is a really interesting one because it's an amazing culture, it's an amazing place. There's incredible people who are just brilliant, super talented, and wonderful people, right? I mean, you can find brilliant people anywhere. I've never seen a place in my life that has so many brilliant people who are wonderful people. There should be some ratio of genius to jerk. And Hawaii has got very high genius, very low jerk.
Love it. That is so true, Alex. Yes, that's great.
So we're working on that, but it is a hard place, and I think everybody in this room knows it. It's a hard place to get started. And it's a hard place because of all the things that the other really great speakers here have already kind of hinted at, right? There's policy, there's bureaucracy, there's things that maybe will start to go away and are already starting to go away. But we've been able to design a satellite here in Hawaii. We've been able to build that here. We've been able to test it with University of Hawaii Spaceflight Lab. We've been able to launch it from Vandenberg, put it on orbit, without having to go to the mainland back and forth to do that. We were able to do it all here in Hawaii. And I think that there's going to be many, many more stories of builders and makers doing awesome things that go into the space environment that are going to help us understand our planet, run our lives and our companies, and hopefully our nations get a little bit friendlier, and just keep our environment clean or undo the damage we've already done to those domains one thing at a time. The way that we screwed them up, we can unscrew them up. It won't be overnight, but it's doable.
Yeah, I would say that Hawaii has the ultimate culture because we have people that came from all over the world to Hawaii, and there's no majority of any kind. So everybody, like when you go to somebody's house or you meet somebody, the question is not where are you from. That never happens. Everybody is a mixture of people from all over the world.
Well, the question is where you went high school. Let's be serious. That's the important question around here.
I didn't go to high school in Hawaii, so sorry, I don't fit it. But anyway, what I'm saying is that the fact that we have so many different people from so many different places means we have so many different ways of thinking about things. And by the fact that we are all friendly with each other, those exchange of ideas work really well in Hawaii. So when I come to Hawaii, and part of the reason that I live in Hawaii and I want my children to and grandchildren to grow up in Hawaii is to have an open mind, to have aloha, to be nice to other people, and to interact. And that is the base of creativity. So I think that we are one of the creative meccas in the world, and that is one of our advantages. And welcome to Hawaii.
Love it. So true. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I have one last little question, quick answer. We meet again in 20 years. What breakthrough do you hope has happened? Alex?
Better nursing homes.
For
Sorry.
you, for the planet, for the whole society.
We won't need nursing homes.
That's right.
We won't need nursing homes.
Longevity.
You'll be living on the moon playing Tetris. Don't worry about it.
That'll be awesome. Just get to, exactly. No, I think the big thing that I hope for the most is that I have a 6.5-year-old daughter who keeps reminding me that she's halfway to a teenager, and which is terrifying, totally terrifying. And she told me not that long ago that she said that she wanted to go to the moon, and I said, honey, I am sure, and I really meant it. If you really want to do that in your lifetime, you'll be able to do that. I'm positive she'll be able to do that. And she looks at me and goes, okay, Daddy, I'm flying the rocket. I said, okay. And I asked her, I said, can I come? She was like, of course, but I'm flying the rocket. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's very likely. If we're going up when you can go, you're going to be the one doing the flying. But I'm very, very hopeful that these steps to repairing our environment on planet Earth and becoming multiplanetary, and that stepping stone, getting to the lunar surface and actually building these habitats and these opportunities. We're not leaving planet Earth behind. We're creating opportunities to expand our civilization and to do great things. And I hope in 20 years, my daughter is sending me that postcard from the moon. So that's my wish.
So it costs about $1 million a kilo to send something to the moon. What that means is that if when we have a moon base, and we will have one in 20 years, we'll have a moon base, we're not going to be sending up any garbage. It's too expensive. So anything that we send up is going to be reused and repurposed and everything. We will be the ultimate sustainable practices place in the universe. And everything that we learn about how to live sustainably on that harsh environment, we will need back on Earth to make this place sustainable. Because right now, we are not living sustainably. We are creating garbage, not just in the atmosphere, but not just in the land, but in the ocean. We're creating garbage everywhere. And that garbage is going to come back and bite us. So first of all, we have to learn how to live without creating garbage. Second of all, we have to learn how to take all that garbage and turn it back into stuff that we can use. We have to put back everything that we've stolen from nature and, as you say, fix everything that we've broken. Then we can be sustainable. So I'm looking for, after the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which end in 2030, in the next 15 years, to be the regenerative development goals. Okay.
Thank you guys very much, and we'll be looking forward to the Tetris off between the two of them. That'll be happening in the break right outside.
Get ready for me to lose.
We'll put it on the big screen right here. You guys can play. All right. Another big round of applause for those two. Next up, we have a conversation with Tim Draper. Who's ever heard of Tim Draper? Anyone? 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 I think only the most famous venture capitalist probably in the world. So I got the very distinct pleasure of hanging out with Tim yesterday. That was really so much fun, and I'm going to have to tell you a little more about it when we get up here. But